Chapter 3. 10. My dear men, I choose to come to your village chowk instead of the usual bazaar not to hear such miserable twitter surely. Come, come, you can do better than this. My cloth deserve more than 10 rupees. 12. Who's that? Oh, I see. It's Dhul Singh Thakur. Thus spoke the saint after a silence of 12 years. These words don't become a Thakur. The audience laughed. Laughter rose to the Thakur's disarming eyes also. He upped his bid. 15. Tihu unfolded a bundle lying next to him and took out a swatch of cloth. There you go, Thakur. Spectacular spirit. He held one end of the swatch and flamboyantly flung the other towards the Thakur, a fine display of the for the spectators. The cost of the swatch could not have been less than 4 rupees. In a bid of 15, if the price was raised by 4 rupees, then it means Tiha's bolt must be worth at least 30. Look, fellows, this is my first sale in this village, isn't it? And it is my first time in your village. If it does not turn out to be promising, I may have to go rolling back to the bazaar. I just thought you could get your money worth without wasting a day at the bazaar. But this proves that old saying about the chicken of the house, as good as dal, Walji joined in. Jaggery of the house, as good as mud. What do you say? Should I wrap up the clothes without Boni? If it was bazaar by now I would have sold over half my stock. Come wala, so much for the capacity of Sila Par. Wala took a step or two and looked around from the corner of his eyes. Just then a voice resounded. 20, 20 from me. Yes, that sounds more like it. 20 from Thakur. Gal sung. In that case, my swatch was wasted on Dhul Singh. Come on, 21, 22. Dhul Singh's hoarse voice interrupted. Listen, 34 from me. Thakur Gal sung, gritted his teeth. Tihu counted 1, 2, 3 and gave the bolt to Dhul Singh and took 30 rupees in cash. The next round began in similar manner. Without much elaboration this time, his swatch went for 32. It was Tiha's principle. The next lot of stock should never sell at the lower price. He reminded himself time and again that it was necessary to bear some loss in the first sale as long as good man inaugurated the sale. Even in village like Silapar, Tihu had done well for himself. By 11 in the afternoon, he had managed to sell about 25 balls, and Walji's bundle had only a few pieces and handkerchiefs left. They had thought of selling those by vending them in different places. The Vesak heat was intensifying, building in him a strong urge to swallow a leisurely lota or two of water, thinking of wrapping up day's business once the last two swatches were gone. Tihu called out, Hurry up, fellows! As Tihu was saying these words, crash came a sound, and a young woman carrying a pot of water on her head stood completely drenched. The stone that had broken her pot struck Tiha's hand and fell right next to him. As soon as the pot shattered, the woman's companions withdrew and stood at some distance. The woman herself, wet from head to foot, stood rooted in the ground. After a while, her words, Bastard! Which mother produced such an evil man? Mind your bloody language, you slut! A man from the opposite parapet got up and roared. The rest guffawed. Their eyes roved over the woman's nipple, visible through her wet blouse, flustered under their lascivious gaze. She readjusted her wet pallav across her chest. As she was taking a step or two to join her companions, Tihu, his other hand creasing his wrist, stood beside her. In a challenging manner, he addressed the man who stood up from the parapet. Whose courage is this, bhai? You mind your own business, outsider. This fellow raised his voice and snubbed Tiha. You coward little credit. Are you to your mother. Step down if she truly bore you. Tihu had taken up the cudgel before Walji could dissuade him. A low caste man publicly humiliating a upper caste, a Patel no less. How could anyone allow this? The troublemaker's companion jumped off the parapet. Tihu assessed the situation. He took a few steps backward and said, "Listen, fellows, I won't let this man off in one piece today. I say this to you all now. If anyone here wants to stop me, be prepared to lose an arm or a leg. If you are true sons of your mothers, I suggest you keep out of this. These bastards had to pay for their deeds." Without looking left or right, Tihu pounced on the man as Tiha's head rammed into his chest. He fell against the parapet wall. Before he could collect his breath, Tihu grabbed him by the collar and threw him to the ground. Walji took the measuring rod in his hand and waited to deal with the other three fellows. People crowded around to see the scuffle. Thakurs constituted the majority in the village, hence the Mukhi was from amongst them. Dhru Singh Thakur was the Mukhi. He too rushed over. He disentangled the man from Tiha's grasp and asked why fighting had begun. Furious, Tihu said, "Ask this scoundrel to face everybody and admit the truth, or else here are the women of your village. Ask them." A shattered pot, a charming young woman drenched and abashed, and around her feet the broken pot shards. The Thakur did not need to be told. He understood it all. The man that Tihu had beaten up had a bad reputation. His companions too were no better. Dhul Singh Thakur asked them with a smoundering look, "Were you sitting here to tear the village dignity into pieces? Go away, all of you, off to your homes." That fellow would not be humbled. Contrition took form of arrogance, and he said, "You are the Mukhi. I want to file a police complaint against this day. In that case, I want to file a complaint first against the harassment of a poor girls of the village. Come along to the village square. I'll call the police by the evening. Tiha, you will have to be the witness." "Why witness, Thakur? I will be the plaintiff. I have faith in the British Raj. But if his wish remains unfulfilled, let me honor it now in your presence. Hold your tongue. Are you wagging your tongue simply because we let you go as an outsider?" Megho Patel emerged from the crowd. "Don't then, if you can help it. Here I am." "You move aside, Thakur. See if I don't pull this one's tongue out." Megho Patel pushed Dhul Singh Thakur aside and came forward. Tihu, without a shade of fear, moved a few steps towards them and said, "I am an outsider, surely. Not these girls. If someone were to do this to your woman." Just then a brick was hurled from somewhere and struck Tiha on the head, knocking him out. For a few seconds he passed out. However, when he picked up his measuring rod, the very next minute the Thakur, worried that this might lead to a fierce fight, raised his dhariya and shouted a warning. Afraid out of serious fight, people began to disappear. The troublemakers took this opportunity and ran away. The Thakur's roar had resounded through the entire village and brought a halt to the stone pelting. Ultimately, only 3 people were left: Thakur, Tihu, and Walji. "Look, Tiha, this happened every day and it will go on. You shouldn't have unnecessarily picked a fight. It's just as well that we Thakurs have the authority here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be alive. You think those people would let you live? Forget it. Hell with living Thakur, who is to lament to my death. People talk of independence, but look at what's happening to our women folk. Doesn't that matter to anyone at all? I am no good at this, Tiha, but the village will hound you. Now be good and just leave this place before noon. As you wish, Thakur. If something happens, I will not complain to you, and if some of them are found missing, debit them to my name." Walji and Tihu took up their bundles. Tihu went ahead and Walji followed. Tihu was still bleeding and he didn't feel like leaving the village immediately. When the two of them reached the corner of that portion of the village known as the one car was, they found a few men chanting under a neem tree. On seeing Tiha and Malji, they did not even wait to greet them, but quickly rushed back to their homes. A painful movement, but Tihu laughed. See, Wala, that's our caste. Don't forget that you will live after creating this ruckus, whereas they have their everyday life here. To think of Walji found it necessary to show Tiha reason. Tihu didn't say anything. He entered a small courtyard of a house and called out for people he knew. Moti Bhai's wife emerged instead. He is not at home. He has gone to the fields. He went further ahead and called out. Manji Bhai, a 10-year-old girl, came out and said, Bappa has gone to another village. If anyone offered shelter to Tiha after his fight with upper caste, they wouldn't set an entire mohalla on fire. Afraid of this, no one dared to even to greet Tiha, although he had rescued a young girl of community from disgrace. No one even had a courage to say, Tiha bhai, you have saved us from disrepute. No one wanted to be on the wrong side of the patidars. Tihu was aware of this, and in fact it filled him with the contempt. The entire mohalla consists of 80 houses. If all of them stood united, the 25 families of the Patels would be powerless. But if they couldn't even dream of standing up for themselves, how they how were they to face the Patels? The money was with Patel. They knew the ropes and police were in their hands. They remained under control only because there were more Thakurs than Patels. In fact, as far as money was concerned, even the Thakurs depend on the Patels. In such circumstances, to pick a fight with them was impractical and foolish. Exasperated, Tihu decided to just not give up. Come, Wala, we are not destined to be connected with this village anymore. As they negotiated the lane and reached its end, they sighted a pleasant, smiling figure approaching them. She came and stood before them. I am Mithi, Hira Kanzi's daughter. My father has gone visiting another village. But please, if you go away like this, hungry and thirsty, it will reflect badly on our village. Come home, my mother insists, and you must look now. Don't make me implore you so much. Your shirt is full of blood. Let's go. Tihu watched her fondly, while Valji tried to fathom Tiha's gaze. After all, this was the girl for whom Tihu had invited all this trouble. But even in the midst of this confusion, Valji could have danced with joy. Tiha risking his head was worthwhile. You haven't even had a drop of water. Now please don't delay. My rotals will turn cold. The two friends put down their bundles in Hira Khanna's veranda. Mithi spread a cotton mattress upon the charpoy. She handed Valji a jug of water before going in and was back the next minute carrying the Ghabha Jariyu herb. Here, stick this on his head wound. I will bring a bandage to tie it up. Valji had barely sprinkled the powder. Zr off came a piece of cloth from Methi's old knee. You stood by us, Tiharam, despite being the opposite Pragna. Look at the rest. Has anyone ever bothered to look us up? God bless you with a long life, Bappa. Methi's mother dragged herself to Tihas to acknowledge her obligation. Don't sit down, honor our meal today. Hush, go back to bed. I will call Moti Bhai and ask him to join us. And Moti indeed followed Methi. He greeted Tiha and Walji and said, I had gone to fields as soon as I heard. I rushed. The rascals have crossed all the limit. But what can one do? What alternative do we have? That's the only reason I am in the hurry to arrange Mithi's Anu. But my father wouldn't hear of it. The mention of Mithi's marriage took away the joy from her eyes, and she immediately went into the house. It jarred Tiha's ear as well. but he tried to continue with the social protocol. You were the first person we thought of when we entered the lane, but since everybody else got cold feet, I thought you had also decided to stay at home and avoid the awkwardness of facing us. No, 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 my dear man, how could you think like that? But you know how it is. First of all our caste is a low one, and then one can't live in water and risk enmity with the crocodile. To hell with the water and crocodiles. This just means that people like us either become an extinct species, or we suck up all their water itself. Believe me, this is not the worst. After all, the British sun, it still warm. Once the independence arrive, our days will be numbered. All this was beyond Moti, while Walji watched this side of Tiha in bewilderment. The brass plates for serving clanged from inside the house. Methi entered with a clean napkin and a jug of water, which she gave to Moti. The two guests washed their hands and sat down for a meal. Walji was surprised to see khichdi and kansar instead of raw dals. What was the reason for so much fuss? Wondered Walji. In any case, when he noticed the tenderness brimming in the eyes of the one for whom Tiha had risked his life, his kansar tasted sweet as honey. After full meal, Walji barely settled down for a couple of peaceful puffs of hookah when suddenly someone shouted from outside, "Are those outsiders here? The Mukhi has called them to village square."